Alright, which one are we going to ride today? Which one should we do a video on today? Shadow Day has been popular lately, but we haven't done a lot on that Fury. Oh, but you got the Road King. Maybe we should take Mrs.TWOWHEELD's. I think we got to do Shadow Day. Let's do Shadow Day. Oh, and by the way, don't mind the mess in the garage. Shadow Day. Hey, two-wheeled friends, welcome back for another Shadow Day out here on this 2007 Honda Shadow Spirit 750. I'm speeding, I better slow it down. I'm just excited. Today I am out going to talk to you about 5 things you should be checking on your motorcycle before you go out on a ride. Let's roll the intro and we will talk about those checks. So how many of you go out to your motorcycle on a daily basis, hop on, fire her up, and just go? Is that what you do? Today I wanted to kind of talk to you about 5 different things you should be checking before you go out on your ride. Now there may be more. I'm just gonna pull some of the top 5 that I feel you should be checking and that I check. I am guilty of, oh, I just had like a big bug splatter. I am guilty of the occasional throw the leg over and go. I'm usually pretty in tune with how the bike feels and what's going on. Say you had something happening, you can usually kind of tell, but yet I don't want anybody to get the idea that you can be a little bit reckless and just hop on and go. If you are a new rider here, and that's what made me choose to do this video on this Honda Shadow, because if you're a new rider here, these are things you should be checking. We're gonna pull in over here. I'm gonna see if I can find a little shade. I'm gonna park and then talk about those things. I didn't want to do this video in the garage because the garage is just a mess. So this will give us an opportunity to talk about it at least somewhere else. Alright, let's just go and just pull up like right here. We're off the road. And we'll just park here. Alright, so here it is, 2007 Honda Shadow. There's 5 different things that I feel you should be checking before you start your ride. One of them is going to be the obvious, is checking your tire pressure. So you want to make sure your front and your rear are properly inflated. If you are unsure of what the tire pressure to have is, you can either find it on your tire or just check on your frame. It'll tell you the front and the rear, and then obviously you got to find your valve stems and inflate accordingly. Now sometimes these bikes are a little harder when you have bags on to get to the rear, but you can see I could go to the other side and show you probably a little better, hoping my camera's catching this, but you can see that there's a curved valve stem, just makes it a little bit easier to fill. So number 1, check your tire pressure. Number 2, you're going to want to check your headlight. Make sure that that headlight's working. We'll come over, we'll flip the key. Okay, headlight's working. Check your high beam. Low, high, okay, and that's in working order. So that's your number 2 check. Since we're on the front, your number 3 will be your turn signals. So you got the right turn signal and you got the left turn signal. We'll just leave the left on, and you got the left blinking back here and the right blinking back there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now another one, check your tail light. So you got your tail light working, and while you're at it, you want to check and make sure that your brake light works. So front brake And I know I can see it with my eyeballs. I'm hoping the camera's picking it up. Here. I got 2 cameras for a reason. There you go. So there's your brake light for the front, brake light for the rear. So we know that's working good. Okay, so what do I got? 1, 2, 3. Your brake light's number 4. So you got headlight, tail light, turn signals, brake light, tire pressure. The other thing you're going to want to walk around and do, and obviously we've already moved, I did these checks in my garage, but make sure you don't have any leaks around anywhere underneath the bike. Now obviously this where it's parked now, you're not going to see that. I know I have a leak. My petcock's leaking right up in here. I just haven't taken the time to pull the tank off and replace it, and it does drip a little bit down below there. That's mostly has been just a slow little drip, and I haven't taken the time to clean that tarnishing up. Now there's probably a lot of other things that you could include in your checks. Those are my top 5: tire, headlight, turn signals, brake light, leaks. Now obviously you're going to want to check your mirrors. You're going to want to check, make sure that your clutch cable feels good. Make sure none of these brakes, the front and the rear brake, make sure there's no sponginess to it. I feel like I'm huffing and puffing a little bit. It's like 90 degrees out with, I don't know, like 90% humidity or something. So I'm sorry if I'm out breathing a little, but check those brakes, make sure they're not spongy. And then, you know, like there's occasional checks. You're going to want to check your oil and, you know, whatever other, depending on what model you have. But generally, I don't feel you have to check your oil every time you go out. Others will tell you differently, but if you're checking it every so many rides, you can determine that. Then you're going to know that your bike oil is good. I tend to not check that too much. I know it's not leaking. Yeah, I know a little bit's burning, but I don't feel it's burning that much. And then, of course, before you go out for a ride, just make sure if you have bags, make sure they're properly latched. Make sure you have fuel. Make sure your handlebars are nice and tight. There's no loose bolts. Those are all little added bonuses, and those you could be checking and doing as you go. Yeah, maybe that could be another video of just some additional checks. You know, maybe this could be like a 10 things to check, but that is primarily those 5 things that I check. What do you check? I want to know down below in the comments. What do you think? Should we just go for a little ride? See what comes up, talk about this a little bit more? Alright, so there we go. Close this so my voice isn't sounding whistly. But there we go. That's 5 main checks that I do. I want to know down in the comments below, if you ride, what are some of the top checks that you do? Let's give some of these new beginner riders here in the comments, here on the channel, let's give them something to watch for when they start learning to ride. Because let's face it, when you're a new rider and you're trying to figure out the controls of the motorcycle just on their own, trying to remember to do all these other things, it may or may not be missed, you know, just because you're too worried about, like, oh, okay, like what gear do I need to be in right now, like how do I turn the throttle, how do I shift, and how do I properly brake, or how do I properly go around a corner. And those things will come naturally to you the more and more you ride, but it starts out with your overall safety. So wearing the gear that is proper, oh, and this is gonna be a big bump. Oh, wear the gear that is proper to you, and then do what you can at wherever you store your motorcycle. I'm gonna say at home, but maybe you store it somewhere else. But just make sure you're doing your checks before you go out. I think I pretty much covered all of those additional things to be checking. You know, you do want to check, make sure, I know I mentioned this, but make sure these mirrors are in a position where you can see what's going on behind you. I tend to turn my mirrors just so I can see the edge of my shoulders, because I don't feel I need to see anything other than that. So if I back up to about right here, you can probably see. And that gets in my blind spots just ever so slightly, so I don't have to turn my head quite as far. That's why I do it. Like I said, you do what you feel you need to do, but then I can just do a quick little head check. I know I can see that blind spot perfectly fine further back. Boy, I did a video last week of 5 reasons that this motorcycle is not a good cruiser motorcycle, and it turned out exactly as I had intended. It drew a lot of you to the comments talking about how you disagree with me, and I'm not gonna get into that here too much because that's what that video is for. So go and watch that video, and then you can tell me if you agree or disagree. And yeah, one of you commented that the line may be blurred a little bit of, you know, what basically is a tourer and what is a cruiser. And I agree that I probably did. I don't know, I'm doing a slow speed little maneuver here. It was okay, but I'm pretty seasoned on this bike. If this is your first video, what brings you to the channel? You can leave that comment down below, then I know you watched all the way to the end, or maybe you are just a fellow long-term subscriber here and you dedicate to watching all the way to the end. I just like hearing a little bit like what brings you here, what keeps you here, and if you have other tips, leave those in the comments down below. But if you are new here, go down, be sure to click that subscribe button, ring the bell so you're notified for future uploads and activity. Give this video a big whopping thumbs up, helps the YouTube algorithm. Lets YouTube know that, hey, I like this content, keep putting it on my feed. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. We'll see you on the next one. I don't know, should we do Shadow Day? Should we do a Fury Day? At the time you are watching this, we will be in the Black Hills 2024 with the Stevie Foe crew. So, hope you're doing well on this fine day. Peace out, we'll see you next time.